India still pays Elon Musk's company to launch its own satellite. Not old ones, not test ones. One of ISRO's own satellites went up on a SpaceX rocket in 2024. And right now, two Indian startups are racing to make sure that never happens again. This isn't a rocket story. This is about why a country needs its own private space company at all, and what any of this has to do with you, even if you have never once thought about satellites. Stay till the end because the last part of this changes how you will read every weather alert on your phone. Here is the part that doesn't fit the story we like to tell. In 2014, India reached Mars on its first attempt for less than the budget of a Hollywood space movie. That's real and that's earned. So explain this. In January 2024, one of ISRO's own satellites, GSAT-20, launched on an American rocket. So why would a country that pulled off Mars on a shoestring needs to pay a foreign company to lift its own satellite? Because India's biggest rocket, the LVM-3, tops around 4,000 kilograms to orbit big communication satellite needs. Some of India's largest satellites weigh more than that. So since 1980, whenever a satellite crosses that line, it flew on someone else's rocket. First it was European and now it is American. And this was never the bad engineering. It's the gap in weight class sitting there for 4 decades. GSAT-24 launched in 2023 was the 25th Indian satellite to fly on the European rocket alone. That gap is exactly what this story is about too. In 2018, two ISRO engineers quit their stable jobs to fix this. Neither of them had ever run a company. Pawan Chandana worked on the India's powerful rocket like GSLV Mark III, and Naga Daka built the guidance systems that keeps Indian satellite rockets flying straight. Chandana has said that he didn't even knew the word equity. What does that mean? He looked up online the same way you would look up anything else. No investors network, no business backgrounds at all. 2 engineers, 10 people, and the company they called Skyroot. The first real money was $1.5 million came from Indian entrepreneur Mukesh Bansal. 4 years later, in November 2022, Skyroot launched Vikram S, first privately built Indian rocket to do that. It didn't complete an orbit, it just touched the space and came back down. A very expensive jump, not yet a full lap of the Earth. But it proved 2 ISRO engineers with zero business experience could build a rocket that can actually fly. And this year, Skyroot is going for a real test. The rocket called as Vikram 1 on a mission named as Agman, it means arrival. This time the goal isn't to touch the space and fall back down. It's actually to orbit the Earth 450 kilometers up. That's the entire difference between a suborbital hop and a real orbit. 350 kilograms doesn't sound heavy, but that's exactly the weight class driving the global small satellites boom right now. Here is something worth knowing before you find out how this specific attempt went. SpaceX failed in first 3 orbital launches in 2006, 2007 and 2008, all failures. By the third failure, the company was almost broke. The fourth attempt in September 2008 finally worked. That's the company everyone now calls the gold standard. So if Skyroot's first attempt didn't go perfectly, it's not a scandal, it's just how the first orbital attempt looks like everywhere in the world. What matters is India is finally in that arena, and Skyroot isn't just in it either. A Chennai company called as Agnikul Cosmos is chasing the same milestone with its own rocket. 2 Indian teams racing for the same first. That's an industry and not a stunt. Here is where people get the story wrong. It's easy to assume private companies are stepping in because ISRO wasn't good enough. Chandana said this completely opposite. Skyroot can only do this because ISRO spent 60 years building the ecosystem underneath. The test facilities, the launch pads, the trained people. In 2020, government created InSpace, whose only job is to let private companies use ISRO's own facility under one clear set of rules. Sounds familiar, right? It's almost exactly what US did. NASA didn't shut down when SpaceX arrived. It started paying SpaceX and Boeing to handle routine cargo and crew runs, freeing NASA's budget for the harder things like going back to the moon. India's running the same handoff just a few years later. Private players takes the frequent and smaller launches. ISRO keeps the deep space, the moon and the human space flight. Here is a sharper reason this matters too. If India needs a small satellite up fast for communication or watching its borders, it can't be stuck waiting for a slot on someone else's rocket or handling payload details to a foreign company. In this industry, this has a name called as responsive space, the ability to put something in the orbit on your own schedule, not on someone else's. With China's own satellite capability growing, it's not a luxury anymore. It's a basic requirement. And the government backing it with real money. Over 1,000 crore rupees are spent in venture funding through in-space alone. Now here is the part that has nothing to do with the rockets and everything to do with you. India's weather satellites have already reached 1.4 billion people. They warn 8 lakh fishermen every single day before they head out to the sea. That's already running on satellites India put it itself. A new $145 million project is building 12 satellites with one job: watching Indian farms from the space, catching irrigation problems and crop damage before a farmer finds out the hard way. Satellite links are carrying online classes, remote doctor visits and banking into the villages that still doesn't have reliable internet. And Skyroot alone employs over 200 engineers who might have otherwise gone abroad. The Indian Space Association expects this entire sector to be worth $50 billion by 2030. None of it, the weather warnings, the farmer satellites and the rural banking, works without more satellites going up more often and more cheaply. That's the actual job of Vikram 1 is trying to do. So here is where what we know now. India never lacked the engineering to reach space cheaply. It lacked the ability to launch everything on every weight on its own term. 2 ISRO engineers with no business experience are closing this gap. One rocket already reached space in 2022. This year, they are attempting the harder version on an actual orbit, with a Chennai rival racing them to the same finish line. Whether this exact attempt lands perfectly or not, the story doesn't change. Weather warning for fishermen, satellites over farms, engineering jobs to stay in India, a country that no longer has to ask permission to put something in its own sky. So the next time a weather alert hits your phone before a storm, you will know that's a satellite behind it, and the real chances it's up there because 2 engineers risked everything in 2018. If you want real stories behind India's technological decisions, this is the channel for you. Subscribe for more such videos and I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.